Abduction, Chapter 26, Part 2. The garage shipping doors were closed for the moment. That would have been my preferred method of entering and finding Maxim, but the front door would do fine. I wasn't trying to sneak in like the garage in Belarus. I was on legitimate business this time. Although I did wish I hadn't brought my camera. It would be a helpful prop since Maxim did offer me a job shooting commercials for his business. I would have to make do without my camera and talk my way into seeing him. I looked down the street to see if Echo was coming to join me. I didn't see her. Tatiana must be finding parking for the car. Echo would not be happy if I went inside without her. Still, I was eager to get information about Ivanovna's whereabouts. The business front door opened without hesitation. It was like I was being welcomed into the establishment. The welcome area of Maxim's shipping business was elegant. No one staffed the front desk, but I heard voices coming from the offices. The people spoke in a foreign language, so knowing what they were saying was impossible for me. Maybe I should have listened to Echo and waited for her. However, I heard a few voices that I knew. It was Valery and Maxim, but there was a third voice. It was the voice of Masha Ivanovna. The volume of the voices grew and then turned into shouting, and the sound of Maxim's voice boomed down the corridor from the offices. Even the voice of Masha Ivanovna rose, but was no match for the volume of Maxim's loud vocalization. Tension emanated from the back rooms, and I was unsure how much more I could endure without interfering. I felt a sense of relief that Ivanovna was alive, despite my dislike for her. This was good news and meant that Maxim didn't have anything to do with her disappearance. The shouting stopped. I waited on edge, wondering what would happen next. A set of footprints were walking down the hallway. They had to be male because of the heaviness. Not to mention, Ivanovna always wore heels every time I saw her. Then around a corner, Valery appeared. "What's going on back there?" I asked, trying to catch Valery's attention. Valery stopped and looked shocked to see me. The bewildered look in his eyes quickly disappeared. Valery walked around the counter and toward me. He was non-threatening when he approached me. "You should go," said Valery. "It is better that you leave." "I would like to talk to Maxim," I said. "There are some details about the job he offered I would like to go over." In this part, I lied about needing to speak to him. Valery shook his head and placed his hand on my upper arm. "It would not be good to talk with him right now. He is not in the mood." "I heard yelling," I muttered. "What was Maxim and Masha Ivanovna arguing about?" Valery pushed against my arm toward the door. I could feel the strength in his shove, and he caught me off guard. It was easy for Valery to get me to the business entryway as I stumbled towards it. "You should go," said Valery as he let go of my arm. "I'm sorry if I am rude, but you should not be here right now. It will not go well for you, my friend." I put my hands up in surrender. Confrontation is not what I wanted, and especially not with Valery. I considered him a friend. "I'll leave," I said. "Just tell me, who is Ilya Popov?" "Let's go outside, but I only have a minute," said Valery. I opened the door and held it open for Valery to exit the building after me. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Echo. She was marching her way toward the building. I couldn't see Tatiana in the car, so I assumed she found parking somewhere down the street from the winery warehouse. Valery stopped just a few feet outside the business entryway. He wrung his hands before speaking. "Ilya was an employee of the sporting club until he was fired months ago. He was spending more time flirting than working with clients. But that's not all. He was working for someone else." "What do you mean?" Valery looked around the front of the building, then up and down the street. His gaze stopped when he saw Echo, but that didn't stop him from speaking. "Ilya was working for Masha and trying to dig up dirt on Maxim. We found out. I threw him out of the club." "Is that what Ivanovna and Maxim were arguing about?" Valery shook his head. "That's all I can tell you. Now leave before something bad happens to you. If you want to talk more later, I will be at the sporting club in a few hours." I didn't know what to say. Valery turned and made his way to the door, and I made my way to Echo, who was on the sidewalk in front of Maxim's business. I glanced over my shoulder to look at Valery one more time, but he had disappeared into the building. There was no way of knowing what task Maxim had given him when I interrupted. Echo waited on the sidewalk. She had a worried look in her eyes. No doubt she was wondering what just took place between Valery and me. "It must have been important for you not to wait for me," muttered Echo, with her arms hugging herself under her breasts. "I was waiting inside when Valery appeared," I said. "And?" "Ivanovna was inside and arguing with Maxim," I replied. "I wanted to intervene, but Valery appeared from down the hall." "Was Ivanovna okay?" "I suppose so. Ivanovna and Maxim were still arguing when I stepped out of the building. From behind me, I heard one of the bay doors open. I expected a truck to back up to the dock, but when I turned to look, all I saw were warehouse workers looking out from the bay door. Then, as fast as the roll-up doors opened, so did the front door of the business. Two men had Ivanovna by the arms and were escorting her from the building. Ivanovna was muttering something unintelligible to both me and Echo. I guess Esko didn't know what Ivanovna was saying either, because she had a focused look to her gaze. The two men, dressed in suits, reminded me of mafia men. Their manner of clothing didn't help my impression of Maxim and his ties to organized crime. Ivanovna was putting up a fight. She was fighting to have the two men release her, that was for sure, but not with any fierce defiance one would expect from someone being kidnapped or taken away. From appearances, Ivanovna was fighting more for her dignity than anything else. I cast a glance at the front door of Maxim's business. No one else appeared. A car emerged from up the street and stopped out in front of the company. The two men got in themselves before the car disappeared down the road. "What do you suppose that was all about?" asked Echo. I shrugged. "I'm as baffled as you are."